And I bet Of course, that's the wrong video. Who wouldn't have thunk that whatsoever? Who would have thunk that, Hemi? Me getting the wrong video. You started it off. There it is. Now we're ready.
This is, again, one of those statements that it's half true, half false.
Come on, come on, come on.
Okay.
Open the pod bay doors, Phil. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
What do you think about that?
I love that video.
What do you think about that one?
You like that one? That one's good.
What do you think about that one?
It's good.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Fling Show. Thank you for joining this evening. My name is Chris McClung, one of your hosts, and my co-host, David Himmeline, will be here in just a moment. And boy, do we have a special guest for y'all this evening. In a return visit, it's only been about almost 2 years. Chris Vandergriff, the man behind the mask of Gorilla Disc Golf and some of the largest events in the state of Texas, is going to be joining us in a few. But until then, we need to thank our sponsors, Lone Star Disc, the only disc made and manufactured in the great state of Texas. They have been supporting the Fling Show since the beginning. And as you can see over the last couple of days, I had the pleasure of going out and playing with one of their pros, the local pro that Hemi and I know very well. We've had the fortune to do one of our match plays with Freddie Meza, but to get out there and watch him play again and see how far he's progressed. And literally to be 13 down on the last hole, pick up a disc out of your bag you've never thrown before and said, "Hey, I like it. It's a nice stamp." And then decides to just lace it about 1 foot from the pin as the pole, as y'all could see. Just amazing day to see him go 14 down at Spring Valley. And for those of you all who know Spring Valley well, it's not a wide open course. So you got to play those lines and hit your putts. And Freddie was just on fire yesterday, but it was lots of fun. And now we need to talk about some of the things that are going on in this local area, because if you haven't heard, we have some big news coming up with these huge events that have just been released over the weekend. First, we're going to start off with part 3 of the minor league disc golf tour, 2 prayers and a putt, where sinners become saints. That's going to be held at, Grace Point Disc Golf Course out there in Magnolia. That's on June the 24th. Man, it's been a blast. Part 3, Prodigy Disc Golf and Southern Star Brewery are the major sponsors behind this. And man, the grand prize at the end of the event is golf baskets for the grand champions. There's going to be 4 of them. So get in now so you can get those points accumulated so you can make the finals. You get into the championships. Also, for those of y'all, especially the guys on this show coming on or later on here in just a second, we have Don't Call It a Throwback Open. Used to be called the Old School Open. For those of y'all know what that means. That means the age protected fellas. Those of us in this group that'll be on this chat this evening, we are in that group. And it's going to be held at the beautiful Shawshank Disc Golf Course out there. That is a B tier, mind you, as well. The Don't Call It a Throwback Open registration is live right now on Disc Golf Scene. Get yourself signed up. Can't wait. Last year to be a blast. Y'all come on out and get yourself signed up. And the biggest news of the weekend, yes, we are bringing it back with Andy Young's blessings. We are now bringing back the Southern Star Duo. Yes, the Southern Star Duo, the last B tier of the year out there in Conroe, Texas, to be held at the McDade Disc Golf Course and Little Egypt Disc Golf Course as well. And as you can see right now, the major sponsors, thank you so much, the Lone Star Disc and, of course, Southern Star Brewery, brewed out there in Conroe, Texas. I cannot wait. It's going to be a blast. But man, oh man, the gentleman who's coming on right now, if anyone knows big events and if anyone knows that there's more events coming, this is the guy we're going to talk to. But first, let me bring on my co-host, Mr. David Himmeline. It was a blast we had with Jim today. Nice to see you this evening. I can't wait to get our guest on. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just chilling. Yeah, I liked hanging out with Jim. It's always a pleasure. Look forward to seeing him on next week. How's it going there over at your place?
I mean, my head has just been exploding, just busy as busy can be. Anyone knows that we are right deep into the disc golf season, especially down here in Texas. And of course, I know everything that you've been watching on tour as well, watching those local pros that we have out there. I guess they're heading to the Midwest, as you had mentioned as well. So things are just, I mean, this is disc golf heaven for us down here. So this tends to be the season. And with the season comes very busy months. And I cannot wait. I just love this time of the year. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's great watching disc golf on TV every weekend. Can't beat it. And that's pretty much all I've been doing as far as disc golf goes, throwing a few putts. But, you know, I'm kind of like nursing an injury and right now and getting through that back stuff. And but I feel like it's coming together, you know, feeling better little by little. I'm not pushing it, you know. Not sure why it happened. It was one of those deals. Just kind of one day I got electrified and put me down for a few days, but you know, still love the sport, still love watching the sport, you know, and lucky to be a part of such a great movement, you know.
Dave, you got to fill in the blanks because you didn't fill in the blank. Dave hurt his back again, just somehow throwing a disc after just really getting right back into it. It was a very unfortunate thing. So hopefully that thing heals up soon for you, because I know there's nothing worse in disc golf than back problems. That's for sure.
Yep, working on it. I guess let's see. Let's go ahead and bring on Griff, man.
Oh.
I'm looking forward to catching up with Griff and see what he's got going on. Welcome to the show, Chris.
What's going on, guys? How you doing, Fling?
Hey.
Flurfy wanted to say hi.
Hey,
Oh,
Fleur.
I've got one of those. I've got a Chihuahua myself.
Yeah, me too.
They're awesome.
She just came and jumped up in my lap right here. So we're like, man, we might as well put her on.
So just one, you just have one there?
I have 2 dogs. We have a mini schnauzer named Paw, P-A-W. And then we have Flurfy, which is, you know, Flurfy
Right.
famous. She's rad. So the long haired Chihuahua and the mini schnauzer, the bark machines.
So out of all of those pictures I sent you from the Chihuahua rescue place, you didn't get any of those? You
I
haven't
did
grabbed
not.
any? Okay.
You know, Dave, I applied to like 3 or 4 different ones.
Okay.
Because I appreciate you sending me those. because they went through my filter, and then I filtered them through the family, and we filled out the apps on like 3 or 4 of them. Just nothing ever came out of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to
So,
hear that. There were some
yeah,
cute ones. Yeah, and
yeah.
I've got to say, it's a little bit of a selfish motivation on my part. I want you to snatch them up before my wife does.
Dude, I get it, and I appreciate it. There's some where I'm like, man, it's just not the right time, but God, I want that dog. And hey, somehow we've managed to be a little bit responsible now. So
Yeah. Well, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to jump into some course design and stuff like that. But first, I want to congratulate you on the season that you're having so far. It's looking pretty good. I was looking through the numbers. You got off the 2 schneid, and you got a couple of wins. You did throw in a bunch of 2s there, but you got a couple of wins, and it looks like you're feeling good. How's it going? How you feeling?
Man, so you're talking personally here. Man, I feel better. I've been working out a lot. I've been in the gym pretty religiously, as much as I can. Life is just insanely busy. I would schedule time off, and then a new project would pop up or something, and this and that. But I've set aside time to spend the last month or so in the gym. But I've been in at least once or twice a week all year. I'm still hurt, but I'm learning to play through it. It's just pain. It's not going to hurt me anymore, but I'm learning to manage it a lot better. Been trying to putt better, and man, it's so fun to play good golf. It's up and down, but I've thrown some good frisbees. Turned 50, so I managed to pull a couple W's in the Pro 50 division. Still, I go down to the 40s with all those knuckleheads, and I got a couple 2s in that, in that division. But I'm actually going to Oklahoma to see our buddy Bigfoot Mike at a big B tier, the Magnolia Open. I'm leaving Saturday morning. I'm sorry, leaving Friday morning to go up there, $5,000 at a cash deal. See if I can't get a big Pro 50 W up there.
Okay, going to compete.
Just so you know, moving into the 50s, you're still swimming with the sharks. You got Alex out there, you got Edward out there, you got Hemi out there. It's not like once you get older, it gets easier. I just want to go ahead and throw that out there for you.
Now, hey, McClung, you said a mouthful there, because I get people all the time. Hey, man, we're coming to the 40s. I'm going, bring it. You got Infante to deal with and all. Like, no, it doesn't. It's a little different, but it doesn't get easier, man, for sure.
Not in Houston, not in H-Town. We're swimming with sharks down here. It's competitive as can be. We've got some very talented, age protected 40, 50, and 60-year-old. And of course, we have the all-time winning disc golfer in disc golf history at Fred Needham as well, who just loves to have, who gets mad at you and I both if we don't have that 60 divisions for him right now, right?
Man, you know it. I put it on there just for him sometimes, man. Come on with it, Fred. We'll make you another trophy, Fred.
I know how you feel.
Yeah. So, man, well, right on, guys.
Well, here's what I got, a little true and false to lead you into something. First off,
Come on.
I like to have this sometimes. Just some things are true, some things are false, somewhere it lies in between. I don't know if you can see this picture right here, but you had an incredible event this year, starting off with the 8s here, just kicking off the season in Texas with the Texas States. Now, I did notice that your logo that you used, I love the bull, of course, being a Texan. I love the horns on that and everything, but I have to question, were you kind of like a closet Transformer fan? Did you once think that you could maybe be in this new movie, Transformers, the Beast, and maybe have this logo, have this Longhorn in there? Was that kind of your goal when you set about doing that first, becoming a movie star before running such a wonderful event in Texas States?
Was that certainly true? If you're not a Transformers fan and you're 50 years old, then I don't know what's going on. Sure. Was that my motivation? Did I think about that? No, but maybe not. Maybe more subliminally than anything else, because the direction that we shot over to the graphics team at Innova was, hey, we want a mean robot bull. We want a bull get going at it, and they go, we got it, we got you, we got it handled, and they sent it to us, man. That's
see, as you can see right now, they knocked it out of the park. When I saw that, I said that's so striking, and I'm a very image conscious guy, if you haven't noticed by things that I post, but I mean, it just captured it. I think it also captured Texas in its essence as well. So well done job there on the logo. But let's talk a little bit about that tournament. Him, got a little bit of firsthand experience being able to be out there from your experience of running your first Texas tiered states A tier. What was it like?
So I'll say this first off. I have never done anything so intense in my life. I've been a lot of places and done a lot of things and run in a lot of circles. I have a couple of certifications and some letters behind my name that come out of some think tanks, and I've been involved in some big projects, but there has been nothing of this magnitude ever. I was literally institutionalized for about 2 months. I got to say, you know, starting from the beginning, Scotty Linthicum is a hero. Me and Scotty started, 9 months ago with the Brock Project. He spearheaded the Brock Mod course specifically with the intent of having an FPO geared course. We saw the potential there. He was the lead on that one. We saw the potential that we could create a shorter course. Didn't have to be as long as all the MP40, MP50 courses that most of those guys will play. We could create a course that would overlap well between the female professional open division and the MP40s and MP50s. And by all accounts, I think we pulled it off. There were a couple people that disagreed, but by and large, some of the biggest throwers came to me afterwards and they're like, dude, this course scores well. This course presents great challenges. But to back up, how was Texas State's? How was running it? Steve Stanley is a freaking superhero. This guy, he bugged me for 5 years to run Texas State's. The truth behind the scenes is that when he approached me the first time, I told him absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with it. I just didn't want to take that on. As things progressed, disc golf became more of a vocation for me. It made more sense. Steve came to me, he goes, hey, look, man, I want to teach my guys how to run some events, and you run great stuff, man. Would you mind if we work together? You help me teach my guys how to run events. And again, we'll work together on that. So me and Steve started at the beginning, started at the ground up, showed some of the guys how to do some things. And then Texas State's came up again. And I said, you know what, let's do this. So we started 3 years ago on this Texas State's. Steve Story, shout out to that guy, man. He helped me. He guided me along. He wanted it for an extra year. Said, absolutely. We had a very amicable, very friendly relationship. We got it this year. There was a little back and forth. Some people were kind of baffled about the bid process. I'll tell you about that is that when HFDS is not going to run Texas State's, that's when they put it out for a bid process. When they're going to run it internally, then they have all the rights. So me and Steve-O talked about that, and we came to great agreement. He helped me out a lot with the guidance. Now back to this point, Steve Stanley jumped into the fire with me. This would not have happened, maybe at all, but not nearly as successfully without Steve Stanley's input. This guy handled the organization process of it. He handled the permits. He put everything on, Google Docs, and he lined everything out. Pat Womack, his main role was to handle the payout and all the ordering and all that kind of stuff, which was a job in itself because there was tremendous payout. He handled some of the sponsorship stuff. That let me and Scotty work on the courses. That let me communicate with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We went back and forth, and if even people that have run big scale tournaments, the largest scale outside of Disc Golf Pro Tour tournaments, you would think that they would have a clue, and I thought that I might, but I had no clue what I was really getting into. Now, I'll tell you why, is that shout out to Houston Parks and Recreation Department. The reason for that is that Brock Park, even though it wasn't finished, it's a very special project to them. Steve got us a meeting. We got some of the top brass from HPAR out there to the park. We pitched them our idea, and they said to us, Abel Gonzalez said to us, in no uncertain terms, he said, look, if this were any other park, we could let you use it, but not have exclusivity. Brock Park was designed to be a huge event headquarters facility type of deal, like collegiate track meets and other just big events like that, where you can rent the whole facility for it. We got them out there. We told them our vision, and they said, yes, you can do it. We told them we wanted to use the left side of the course. We wanted to modify the existing course. We wanted to create a gold course using this part of the course. And they said, you got it. Let us know how we can help. Fantastic. Now, fast forward, there were so many curveballs with the logistics and the mechanics of this event that it just, they're not public. Some people know a little bit, but the park wasn't open. One day the park, they would say, is open. We would have access to this time, and then this guy wouldn't be there. And it was different times, and we couldn't go on the weekends, and so many parameters and so many restraints. And I have made promises to the Disc Golf Pro Tour and to this guy, and we need to get this in here, and we need this day to paint and this day to flag. And it was literally insane. Backing up again, me and Scotty Linthicum out there for 9 months. That guy took the lead on the mod course, came up with something great. That freed me up to spend time. And we spent hundreds of hours out there back and forth. We spent hundreds of hours on the phone, Scotty and I, talking about the gold course. Our goal was, there is so much flack publicly given to disc golf on ball golf courses, right? We're sick of seeing it. We're this and that. It's too open, blah, blah, blah. We knew that we had to create something that was, it was an old ball golf course, traditional golf course, I call it most of the time. We knew that we had to create something special. And we dedicated our lives to it. We were out there, man. I mean, my truck knows its way back and forth to Brock Park, and it's a 50-minute drive from me, There were many times that we took our little electric bicycles and we carried them over that gate. We got to know every inch of that thing. And what we came up with, man, I'll say this, is that Scotty and I knew that we were happy with what we did, with what we created on the course. I think I've got a pretty good grasp. I'll tell you this, is that I can throw a frisbee pretty far. When I was, 5-10 years ago, I could throw it farther, but I knew that I had to create something that was out of my comfort zone for these guys, true gold level, 1030 plus score separation. Scotty had seen these Disc Golf Pro Tour courses, caddying for Christina. He had the experience. So, man, we got out there. We knew, we were confident that what we did was the best that we could possibly do with that course. Still, when the pros started coming in, when Brody and Ezra started filtering in and they're filming stuff, we're like, oh man, we knew we did the best we could, but we're still a little bit nervous because we knew, man, we were in a sense carrying Houston on our shoulders. These guys wanted them to go, man, hey, what'd y'all think of the course? And when we started seeing some of the social media come out, and they were like, this is pretty cool. It was really great whenever some of the more design experience guys, when they started seeing the lines that we intended, why we did stuff, why we didn't do some other things. And we hear that reflecting, we're like, yeah, they saw it, Then my phone starts blowing up. I'm like, dude, they love our course. I got people from Houston going, they love our course. And I'm going, man, absolutely cool. Love it. Love that we can provide that. But man, I got to say again, Steve Stanley, Scotty Linthicum, Pat Womack, there's a list of other people that were heavily involved, but those guys, those were the keys. Me and Patrick were talking one day, and it went a little bit back and forth that I was the lead and he was doing this. And I said, man, I promise you, there's times I don't even want to be up in front of this thing. You don't understand how crazy this is. And he's like, I got you. Every role, just because I was up front, it's my role. They are just as much or more important than I was in this thing, man. And it was for it to be so successful. It was pretty phenomenal. It was a great feeling. But again, I've never done anything so intense in my life. My wife, for the last 3 weeks, I said, babe, I'm just, from 6 a.m, I'm out of here and I'm home at 11 o'clock at night, and she's like, I got it. At one point, I tried to get her flowers or something just to go, hey, babe, thank you so much for carrying everything. And she goes, listen, I'm not, man. I'm not carrying everything. I'm going crazy here. You need to hurry up and get this done. And I went, oh my God. She goes, but I get you. Thanks. But man, it was really cool. The course, I was as tickled that the mod course was so successful for the FPO player. It was as successful for the FPO players as the gold course was, for the MPO guys. I'm not naive to think that it was the best course ever, but it was a good course. I think we did really good with what we had, and it was fantastic that it was so well received. I have to say this is that at the end of Texas State's on the FPO side, wanted to have my buddy Wally come out and send the FPO ladies out and then present the trophy. But when Saya Nanda threw her last shot on 18, I don't know if she knew she needed to make that putt, but from about 35 out, from down in a ravine at the edge of the lake, I was on the other side of the basket. And I saw her laser focus, look at a link, and then I saw the flight of the disc, and bam, she jammed it. She ran up, wiping a tear from her eye, pulled her winning putt out of the basket, and then just, yeah, and then Wally come and give her the trophy. I'm like, dude, how fortunate to be a part of this stuff. How rad is this, man? Because I mean, that just super huge. And that's the biggest reward for me. I did an interview with Innova, beforehand, and they're like, so what are you most looking forward to? And I said, I just want people to enjoy it and have fun, and everything, the success of it far surpassed any of my expectations, so that's my take. Beware what you're getting into. Everybody warned me, but man, I will say this, we're going to do it again. Some other things I want you guys to, I don't want to dominate the conversation, but I got a few things that I want to talk about here. But one of them is that we're going to do it again out there, and we have a template now, so it's not going to be nearly as tough. We're going to try, man. We're going to build on it. We're going to make it bigger and better. And we've got the backing of Houston Parks and Rec. We'll talk more about that here in a few minutes. So
That's great. Any plans for any like parking fixes?
Oh gosh, man, that's the biggest thing. We did a survey, and what's the complaints? Parking. What can we possibly do to improve that? What there's one area, and it's to the right of the MPO gold number 1. We may be able to use that. We can't necessarily use what was used as the practice area for the DGPT players, but I don't know. I think we're going to really have to go to the well on that one.
I would recommend too, just seeing it, from my point of view, driving people back and forth from that, and just kind of the word on the street, people that spent the night there. You need a security guy at that campsite. They had people driving by shooting guns all night. Just up in the air, like yeehaw, with some Tejano music playing, and just guns ablazing, and those people, they're out there on the tour risking their lives to play disc golf, and maybe a security guy would help. I'm not sure. Maybe that just something needs to happen there for those players.
Sure. So there were a couple areas that I would improve on, for sure. One is that, so Brock is open now. I'll go ahead and jump into this because it segues and it all translates and overlaps. Brock being closed presented the biggest challenge, right? They were letting us in there. That's where the accessibility issues came from. It's now open. Steve Stanley went out there and he shook hands. The mayor came out, and dude, the reverberation from Texas State's shot all the way up the ladder through HPAR and all the way through city council and to the mayor. They came out and said, hey, we heard you guys had 5,000 people, and we're like, it's something, and we had a lot. It was crazy. They were so stoked about the success. And I'll be honest here, is that leading up to the Brock Gold course, I composed a brilliant proposal, the economic impact, and we wanted to make Brock Gold semi-permanent with, concrete tees at grade where they wouldn't impose on mowing, and these removable sleeves and all that stuff, and no signage, and, very well thought out, very well composed, very well put together proposal. And it was kind of shot to the side really quickly. So we were like, okay, we'll just do what we can. It was always my hopes that Texas State's would be successful, and then it would reverberate up the chain, and the city of Houston would recognize the impact that disc golf has on our community. They came to us afterwards. When they did the grand opening at Brock, they sought out Steve and go, hey man, we heard you guys killed it. And we're like, we did. It was fantastic. It was great. And they came to us, and they're now willing to entertain something like that, so roles reversed. It was super successful. HPAR's on our side. They were never against us. They'd let us pull it off, and they would let us do it again. But that's to say this, is that next year, player parking will be inside Brock primarily. So the touring guys will be able to camp out there.
That'd be great.
We can probably use the other parking lot, certainly have a security guard there as overflow parking. We have a GBO champion touring shuttle driver again, if you're feeling it, if you're not playing. The other thing is it will be proactive in securing more areas in the immediate area, more lots. You know, if we got to, I'll be honest here, is that the pay lot across the street, we tried to pay the guy a lump sum just to have free parking, and he wanted to go the other route where people paid. We were trying to pay for parking, but he wanted to go the other route. Regardless, we'll be more proactive in securing better parking when we can. There will still be street parking, but that's one of the areas I want to improve on, Brandon. The second area, since we're talking about it, is that staff that we had, the volunteers. Dave came out driving people, man. I love the aspect that when people, if they didn't know, they knew after that they had a GBO winner driving the shuttle pool from the player parking lot, right? But the Houston disc golf guys, every club around, the volunteers, even though we were a little bit short because we had the AM side playing, the volunteers exceeded all expectations. Man, guys like Alan Best, this dude, I had no clue, but this guy, he was running people. He took charge, and he was, he was a leader, and he had these people hyped up, man. Graham Todd and Jacob Stone was one of my right-hand guys. These guys, I had never seen them in their element, so much in their element and excelling so much. It's fantastic. What I want to improve on is we got those guys players packs and stuff, and we got them some this and that. We could have been more efficient, and we could have been a little bit better. And they might not think the same way, but man, I think we could do better in showing in supporting our volunteers. We're going to have some documented stuff, player check-in, or volunteer check-in, and all these guys written down. We want to make sure that they know that they're valued, because those guys killed it. Absolutely killed it.
Yeah, I back in the day, back in the glass blown days, I used to be in with those guys, Eric McCabe and Rusco and those guys. And when they told me that they lost money during the glass blown open, kind of blew my mind a little bit. Yeah. It was more for publicity of their brand and their, sure. And their company. And it kind of goes to show what kind of heart it takes to pull off an event like that, because you're not going to get rich doing it. You're just putting your name out there, and you're establishing a history, basically. I mean, you're becoming part of the history of the sport. And so I guess that's what you do it for. I'm not asking you how much you made, but I know that they used to say that nobody made money during the glass blown, which is crazy to me, with all those thousands of people that come around. But man, you got so many moving parts. And I can't think of a business other than maybe restaurant business, that just has so many parts and so many volunteers, and it's a crazy task.
Yeah. Where I'm sitting right now is where a lot of this brainstorming comes into play. I'll sit in front of the computer and I'll look at things, and I'll dig around at past events and see events around the country, and I'll think about what we could do and how we could do it better. And sometimes these things just come together. And next thing you know, we're running Texas States, and we're going to do 9 courses, and we're going to do the AMs and this and that. And then I get this other idea where, okay, I petitioned for sponsorship, and these guys came in, and these guys came in, and then Innova, I put out sponsorship requests, and Innova was the last one to return. Put it out at the same time, and Innova was the last one to return, and they came in so hard and so heavy. They offered, it wasn't just the cash that they offered, which was a lot, but it was the support and the staff and the graphics design and so much else, and it made it feasible. That opened the door for me to look at some other things and go, man, if you broke it down hourly, I'm not making a whole bunch. The shop does pretty okay. I've got 3 jobs essentially, man, and I have a comfortable living, but I've worked really hard to get here. Yeah. I've got some letters behind my name, and I've got a value, when I go places, and our shop's doing pretty good, and our events, we do pretty okay. But I looked at the finances, and I was like, man, so going back, Jim Kelly, man, Jimbo, me and Jim had this vision years ago, and it was, why can't we do big players packs and get sponsors to pay for most of that, raise money to cover that, and have big payouts where the vendor gets to profit from these payouts, and we cover all the stuff that we're supposed to pay for? Why can't we do that? And other people are doing it. We're not the only people. But somehow along the way, we've gained the trust of some sponsors and Carbach Brewing and man, Evan Macaluso with Sail Time and a million others that I'm forgetting. So please forgive me for that. But all these guys came in and offered these different levels of sponsorship and different things that we could contribute. And we were able to, I'll be honest with you, is when I clicked the button, I put in all the numbers for payout into the PDJ tournament manager, and I clicked the button and I did it like this, click, and opened my eyes. And I
Drum
saw,
roll, please.
oh my God. Yeah. I was like, "Yeah." And I saw the numbers that popped back up and I went, yes, this is great. And then I started, man, I go out to the minis when I can. And I petition input and perspective from anybody I can. And I'm like, guys, what do you think about Texas States? And people are going, it's expensive to play, but it's an A tier, but you get your money back in players pack. And then you get this stuff. They're like, great. I'm like, yeah, cool. So we made a little money. I don't even want to think about what it would be in hourly wage, but we did okay. Payment for services rendered, sure. TDs ought to get paid, and I feel like we're going about it the right way. We're selling plastic and stuff, and we're providing an experience and giving value there, for sure. We let people know what the fees are and what to expect up front, and that's just kind of our model, But is it? Oh man, is it to get rich? No, man. It's any and every TD that I've ever seen last has a passion for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that real quickly whenever you see somebody, what they do. If they're apprehending, oh man, well, I got a little bit of, cool. We can use you at part-time, but the guys that jump in, it's for love of the game, man.
Well, let me switch gears a little bit, because I'm not a technical person. I don't know money. I don't know how to do all that stuff that you do, and I really have great appreciation for it. But when I'm out driving Uber, and you might have this, Chris, in your own life, just in general, and they call them God winks. They call it, in the new age world, they call it synchronicity. Just magical things just happen. How many things in the past 3 years have just popped up, that you knew there was a bigger, thing happening than yourself?
Oh man. I'll go back even a little bit further. Dave, you know my story. I got sober because of a relationship on a disc golf course in 2008. I was not the person that I am today. I was a great guy, great kid, and I won't go too much into all that stuff, but I was lost for a bit, man. And I started trying to get sober. I started trying to change, and I met a guy on the disc golf course in 2008, and from that relationship, Tim McCall, my 2011 doubles
yeah,
me
love me
Tim,
some Tim McCall.
Man, I mean, me and that dude chance meeting, right? And I somehow saw this wink that said, the relationship spawned from the disc golf course, from a shared passion, changed your life, right? And that's when I started trying to give back, carry coolers. I remember going to Jeremy Rusko and them in 2010 at M Worlds. They had an RV set up, and I go up to them after I finished the round. By the way, I was in first place, tied with David Wiggins after the first 2 rounds of M Worlds.
Nice, Wiggins.
Right?
Yeah, nice.
And yeah, that's my claim to fame. I got mental after that.
Bomber card. There's a bomber card right there. These guys are throwing 600 feet, Chris.
Yeah, he ended up winning by like 22 strokes, but to the point, I'm running.
I played around with him at USDGC when he was like 15, and his buddy was caddying for him, and he was pulling a little red wagon, literally.
Wow.
That was his caddy.
Dude, there is no one that throws a disc harder than that guy. It is violent when it comes out of his hand. But I just started trying to get back. Carrying coolers. I'm running up to Rusko. Hey, do y'all need any help? And they go, sure. You want to grab these coolers? Yeah. So anyway, I just kept moving forward from there. Right. I'm sitting on my couch one day here at the house, and I was working at NACE doing the coatings inspection and this and that. And my schedule is that I don't have to work a traditional 9 to 5. I can take, these coatings jobs when they come up, and I make a pretty solid hourly wage. And then I teach a class once or twice a week, and it pays pretty decent, and I didn't have to take a traditional 9 to 5, but I get this voice in my ear goes, no joke, somebody's going to call you and offer you a job today. And I go, nah, or whatever. 20 minutes later, Tim calls and says, hey, there's a position over here at this window company that I took a job at. And it was funny enough, it was a really great position. It was for somebody with a bunch of knowledge in the home building industry. You couldn't just walk into it, and it paid a pretty substantial salary with bonuses. What that ended up doing is that I got in there and I was there for a bit, and I just had the notion that you're not supposed to be here for too long, but grab everything you can, learn from, I'm here, I'm going to do the best I can. Right. And there were some issues surrounding some personal things with some people at the job, at the place that I ended up, I left after about a year and a half, but I'd put aside enough money to live, to be comfortable. But somewhere along that way too, that same voice goes, somebody's going to grab you and y'all are going to do something meaningful in the disc golf community. And I go, what? Patrick Womack came to me the second time. He goes, look, I'm coming to you the second time. And I go, when did you come at me the first time? He goes, exactly. That's why I'm coming again. He goes, I've always been told if you want something, you go to them first time, they blow you off. And I go, probably, because I get that a lot. He goes, he sat me down and he goes, hey, let's do something, man. We can do this together. Let's get an inventory. Let's do this right. Let's help the community and let's do some stuff. So all of that happened. And what that did to me is just go, dude, just focus on this, man. Those voices, they come and they happen. Now, during Texas States, I'm a man of faith, and I just kept doing the next right thing for the next right reason. Where there's some times that things went, this is going to be super cool. There were absolutely some times that blew me away where I went, is this really happening? Is that really gonna, wow. Now there were also some times when I went, oh my God, how are we gonna get through this? What are we gonna do? But yeah, to answer your question, man, and what were they? I don't know. I don't know, because it was just blinders on, nose to the grindstone, make something happen.
I just love it when it happens in my own personal life. How can you teach that? If somebody's out there listening and they go, hey man, I want to have some God winks, I want some synchronicity. I want some magical coincidences in my life. What do I do?
Man, so Kristen Tatar, did you hear her speech a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
If you put love, God, I love this. If you put love out into the world, you'll get love back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I just try to do that with no expectations. Now, at the same time, I own a business, and God, we got people that work for us and stuff. So I've got to make some right decisions sometimes, but,
I want to add to that real quick.
Yeah, come on.
Not to jump on your stuff, but like, also being in phase, I call it. And you know what that means. When you're out of phase, that's when you're doing stuff, is not right. You can feel it, you can just feel it. But if you get in phase, that's when the magic happens. And then it's up to you to answer it, those magical moments, like you taking the risk.
Man, I'm with you, is that if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. And sometimes that's not always the case, but I kind of have this meter where, and am I doing this for the right reasons? I'll be honest here, and is that I wouldn't say that I'm a Christian, but I'm a God guy, maybe more spiritual than religious, but if it doesn't feel right, I kind of know it in my knower. Am I doing the right thing? Whether it's uncomfortable to me or not, am I doing the right thing? And sometimes, Dave, it's a lot of times the wrong thing might be a lot more glaring than the right thing. And if I just don't do that, then by proxy, I'm doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking churchy stuff either. I mean,
Sure.
they call it sin, but it's a thing that you're doing that's detrimental to your well-being, and it, and you can feel it.
Yeah.
And you get hooked on it, and you get, I'm right there. I'm one of them. I'm inspired by your story. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because I know you're somewhat of an expert on this topic.
Man, by no means am I perfect, and I make mistakes, man. And then if and when those happen, then I'm just trying to be quick to acknowledge them, you know?
Yeah, and same here. I'm not trying to say that I
Yeah, for
am
sure.
in any way at all. It's just something that stands out to me when I talk to you every time we talk.
Yeah, right
And,
on. Man.
one other thing I'd like to get
Oh.
into just real quick is there a place where there's a list of your course designs that we could check out online? Is there a website?
Wow. Okay. So just so you know, this wasn't planned at all, but coming very soon. Yeah, I'm working on a website. So I've been doing course design and I was in home building for many years. So I have a lot of contacts with some trades. And so I've been doing concrete tees and installations. And then from that, shameless plug, I guess here, but I've had some of these parks departments or an HOA that I've worked with. Hey, well, while you're doing this concrete, can you do sidewalks? Well, sure, absolutely. Can you do this? Can you do that? So I just obtained an LLC. It's called Vandergriff Integrated Services Network, Vision, VISN LLC, and let us help you realize your vision. And part of that is what I want to do is it's concrete construction, decks, patios, fences, pergolas, that kind of thing. Disc golf course design and industrial coatings inspection, which are all the hats that I wear, right? And I've basically the integrated services network aspect of it. I'm creating a website that's going to have just an informational deal, 5 different pages and a contact us. One will be for the concrete stuff. Second will be for, fences, pergolas, and construction. And the third will be disc golf course design. So the goal is, I don't want to blast it out everywhere. I don't want to get too busy. I want to be a father. I want to be a husband. I want to foster guerrilla disc golf in my community more than anything else. But, if there's money out there and people that I can help, but one of the aspects is if someone goes onto the Google and Google's disc golf course design in Texas, I need my name to pop up in there,
Mhm.
So it's very soon, the Vision Construction website is going to have a list of all the courses that I've done and links and all that kind of stuff. So
Awesome. Let me talk
Yeah.
about one of my favorites of yours.
Cool.
See if you can guess it. I didn't play rock, so I'm going to leave that one
Okay.
out. I did see it.
Evergreen.
That's a close second, actually.
Okay. Which one?
Alvin.
Oh, dude, Briscoe. Okay,
I
gotcha.
love Briscoe, man, and
Cool.
I was just I haven't been out there in 2 years or more. Just wondering how it's going. I know you guys did a whole lot on the front end money wise, and got them to really throw down some big chunks. And we got lights, and you got all the stuff, and then all new sod and all this kind of stuff. How's it going?
So, man, Briscoe. There was some miscommunication on Briscoe. I've been vocal about this, that some of the trees that were supposed to come down didn't, and some that weren't supposed to come down did. And it was really muddy out there when it started. All the new sod has taken hold. It is a lot cleaner than it was. There's been a lot of understory clearing and stuff. It's actually grown back in a little bit now. Alvin had about 2 months of dedicated manpower to put into remediating the course and getting it in better shape. They did a ton. They had to take a break and focus their trades elsewhere, focus manpower elsewhere. But they're just about to get back and do more again. But the course has grown in really well. There's a couple little changes that I want to make. I've walked it with Dan Kalinsky, who's the parks director out there. We're talking about moving a couple baskets, talking about adding a couple of tees and stuff, and just really realizing the initial vision. But that said, the course has grown in really, really well. 3 things that we need to add. There are 3 baskets that aren't that well lit, and one is number 1, which should be your visual. The fairway's lit, but the basket's not. I'm going to get some of those things that Dufresne's using out there at his course, and I'll just keep replacing them. Gorilla will pay for them, man, until we're going to light those baskets. We have a tournament out there on Saturday.
Okay.
Round 1 starts just after 4 p.m. and then round 2 is going to be under the lights, and it is is it a B tier? Yeah, it's a PDJ B tier. 1 round in the afternoon and 1 round in the evening. I will be in Oklahoma, but the rest of the Gorilla crew, which shout out to those guys, man, they've come a long way. it's I've got a bunch of eager, fantastic crew members that are dedicated, man. They're going to run the event, but if anybody wants to play Sun, Moon, and Stars, man, we've got
Yeah, go play Alvin. I love that.
yeah.
I don't know. It's just something about it. It's special to me. It's a special place.
The first time I played it at night, literally on 14 of the holes in a lot of places, you forget that it's dark. It's like daylight out there. It's not like glow golf. It's like legit lighted golf. And it's so, the novelty and the magic of it is so cool. The biggest part, when I was driving away for the first time at night after playing it, I looked over my shoulder out the back window and there was a glow in this field. And even just coming from there, I was like, what in the hell is that? Oh yeah, that's the disc golf course. It looked like a shopping mall in the middle of a field or something all lit up, man. But that's a cool place. I didn't realize that was your favorite, but I do. I remember you telling me about that now. You had some.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of, not too big courses now. It's just that's where I'm at in my game, which leads me to my next question is, when are we going to get some putt courses? When are we going to get some par twos like Armadillo, something that's fun to play that you can just go and play, throw a couple of putters in the bag and go.
The family friendly stuff.
Yeah, we need that. I need that.
So I'm glad you asked that too. Baytown. We did Evergreen. We had Jenkins out there. They were getting a constituency of people that were coming in and asking for, hey, well, Evergreen's too big. Jenkins, too many people, too crowded. And I don't, they wanted a shorter course. We just finished up Duke Hill, which the longest hole is about 267, maybe 300, but it's a lot of putter courses. It's got some really cool elevation. It's very similar in style to Old McGregor Park before all the trees went down and stuff. So it's recent, there's good lines. It's not tight wooded, but yeah, that's our little part. It's par 3, but there's a couple shots, 3 holes under 200, and most of the holes are between 180 and 240. So we've seen that need. As far as moving forward and more of those, I'm just not sure yet. But
I just see personally, I see a need for it, or an avenue to kind of introduce kids, little kids, and big families that, like say that mom and dad can't throw it 200 feet either, and they got their little kids out there in strollers.
Yeah.
That's what I'm picturing.
Yeah, man. The last thing we want is people to get discouraged coming out trying to game, for sure. Yeah, funny enough, man, I had a conversation with Travis Dillard just last week, man. I like Travis a lot, man. Great mutual respect. Travis was giving me his vision about, the kids, and telling me about how Lone Star pays the entry fees and stuff. And we're like, man, we should, we're starting to work a little bit more with Lone Star. And I share a similar vision with Travis. We talked about a few good things, man, and I'm all for it. I'd love to see, man, up there. We're landlocked down here. We've got the bay. We've got Galveston on one side and the bay on the other. So we just don't have the player base that the north side or the northwest side does and stuff. But I would love to see a kids league down here. I can't facilitate it myself, man, but I think the crew that I'm working with, I think that might be one of our next goals. We've got TOV over here, which is it's short and more family friendly, but it's not quite the par 2 like you're talking about.
Yeah, but you do have Houston Young Guns, and I tell you what, Torn's doing a great job there. And I know he teams up with you quite often as well.
Yeah. But
done a great job in the Houston area with the juniors, where when we first saw him and I went out there and we did one of their finals. I think there was 28 or 29 kids, and the last time he had almost 45. I mean, then he had an event where there's 60 kids. I mean, that's just an amazing amount of juniors, because it's hard to get, that as well as I do. That's a hard market to get.
Man, absolutely. Torrance killed it. That's why I was saying to the Northwest side guys, that's it blows me away when I see all that stuff. Like when we did Texas States, it was a no-brainer to have Torrance run the junior side. I mean, who better else?
Nobody. I mean, he is the guy who's in. Yeah, I told him the last time I saw him at Lone Star, I told him the exact same thing. I said, "You're just killing it with the juniors. Congratulations." I mean, he's knocked it out of the park. Of course, he does have a very talented junior who's playing as well, so he's got a lot of motivation for it. But beyond that, that doesn't really matter. It's still amazing to get that many juniors, because I know it's running tournaments, and I know you do as well. That's a hard market to get into. But before I want to go ahead and get into this one as well, because I know this is something that you have coming up on your agenda. This is also a huge event in the Houston area. What is the latest news that you have about the Greater Texas Houston Disc Golf Championships?
The Houston, it's a lot.
It rolls right off the tongue. I did the exact same thing. Trust me, I got him the exact same way.
Yeah, man. So this is unofficial, but this is what we're working on here. With the success of Texas State, we're meeting about Brock Park with H. Parson. It's almost a lock that we can use Brock Park for Greater Houston Disc Golf Championships. Essentially, what I'd like to do is give the players. Well, I got a shout out to Otis Ismick, right? Because I was resigned to Texas State's replacing Greater Houston Championships, Greater Houston Disc Golf Championships. I didn't want to run two big ones in a year, right? And Otis goes, man, you ought to do this. Do it in the fall. Do it in the fall. And he pushed me, and I go, you know what? Why not? Now, Hemi, here we go with that little Godwink thing. The perfect storm came, and I'm sitting right where I'm sitting here, and I go, we could use this, and we could use that. And I get on the phone with Steve, and I go, hey, man, what do you think about it? And he goes, well, let's do it, man. Brock Park, we're going to try to set up Brock Gold. We're going to try to put the mod course into the mod positions. We would use Doosan, potentially River Grove, TC Jester, what other courses in the area that we might potentially use. That we could use and run a 5-course Greater Houston Disc Golf Championships. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. With Texas State's coming back next year. We're going to do the same thing. I mean, it's not set in stone yet, but by all intents and purposes, the conversations with the Disc Golf Pro Tour were, yes, we're going to do this again. We have the template. I'll say this. Working with the Disc Golf Pro Tour for your first time is an experience. And I know I'm sidebarring a little bit here, but it is an experience. But once I caught on, those guys, man, they're creating a TV show is what they're doing, and they need things in a certain way for that. And I respect that. Okay, cool. We know what to expect now. It's going to be a whole lot easier. Texas State's coming back. Putting Brock Gold and Brock Mod into place again and having a big tournament, I cannot see that not being a big attraction for every player in the area. This time maybe we can put some of the other divisions that weren't able to play the mod or weren't able to play the gold. We can put them on that course one day, see how they stack up, one day of the tournament. We're not sure if we're going to do it on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or if we'll do 2 rounds Saturday and 1 on Sunday. We're just not sure yet on that. But it's going to take the place of our late October event. We have one scheduled for Wynwood and Northside Christian Church, our Fairway to Heaven event that we do. We're already we've got clearance from the state coordinator on that one. We were just going to switch it over, but that's what we're looking at: late October, a fall event. The Greater Houston Championships, using and setting up the Brock Gold. Because I mean, if it were me and I'm going to play Texas State the following year, or if I heard about it this year and I'm like, wait, they're putting that thing up again. The cool thing is that Brock Park is open now. We won't have all those crazy hurdles. We'll be able to park in there. We'll be able to use the facilities and stuff. So that's what we're looking at. And the model that we had at last year's Greater Houston Disc Golf Championships, we had fantastic sponsor support. We got with Lone Star. We got with Mint Discs. We had Innova jump in. They all gave great players pack discs, got them out to all the players. We were able to have a significant payout too. So that's the thing. We want to run another monster. We want to bring some monster quality events to Houston, and that's our next opportunity. So that's what we're looking at.
Excellent. So backtrack a little bit. I kind of want one example of how the Pro Tour TVs it up.
Okay. So it's not so much that they TV it up, but they are a production company essentially. Right now, listen, I will say this. And this is my perspective, right? And my second experience could be different. And it wasn't a negative experience at all. Let me be very clear about that. So the Pro Tour, what they have done for the Pro Tour players is they have established a model where, and I love this because I've tried to do the same with Gorilla Disc Golf. When you click on that about section, where the money, what portion is going to the payout, what's this and that. You got your rules, you've got this and that. You know what to expect from the tournament. PDGA, when you play a C tier, you know what kind of payout expectations to expect. B tier, that there's a players pack or added cash if you're a pro, et cetera, et cetera. What the Pro Tour has done is establish something for these players: consistency, a model. They know that when they show up to this town on Tuesday, it's going to be ready to roll. They can sign up for their practice time. They have their own deal. They have a JPEG or a PDF that shows all of the holes. They're all in place. They know all the rules. All the OBs are right, and everything is in place in there to go. In there, it is fantastic for the player. I couldn't imagine a better model for that. And I didn't know this. I had given them a map that I thought was to be suggestive for the out of bounds for Brock Gold and Brock Mod, and they came back and they said, "Hey, these guys are practicing and it's different." And I go, "That's not the right map. They're supposed to use this, and this is what we drew up." But anyway, there's some confusion, right? But I understand now. It's that model. It's allowing these players to come in, and instead of have to go figure all this information out themselves, blah 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 blah, they have it all lined out for them. The Disc Golf Pro Tour has kicked butt in that aspect. They see this, they see that, they know where to go, they know what to do, they know what model to follow, and that's fantastic. From my end, I didn't. Now this is the TV it up part. I didn't realize there were a few things that I didn't realize until I saw it on camera. Man, Joe Rotan, my Innova guy, we had home base at Brock. Innova up, right? And we had it gussied up with all the other sponsors and all that stuff. And when you walked up, Dave, you were, anybody that came out, you walked
Spectacular.
up. Dude, you're in the center of the disc golf universe.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It's a different perspective from the camera. So there are things that I could have done better and made it more camera friendly. The baskets at Brock Mod. They're like, man, we could have, taken these things off the baskets. It would have been more presentable on camera. Like, I didn't even think about that. I didn't know, little things like that. And it was the preparedness for the player in the model that they had put together that I didn't realize. And it isn't that I did anything wrong. It's just, had I known what these things were for, I could have been more ahead of the game. Now, I will say this. I could run a 1301, 1302, and then a master class about how your first time working with the Disc Golf Pro Tour should go. So if anybody out there watches this and they're going to run their first event with a DGPT, reach out to me. I can help you out. I can help you avoid some situations. But the TV thing is, man, they want to project our sport in a good light. I'm not a DGPT fanboy, but I love it. I have a new respect for what they do because of the model that they've given to the pro players. If these pro players needed better, man, they got it there. They certainly got it there in that aspect, And then the TV thing, they're just trying to make it as pretty as they can for the viewers. And heck, man, that's what we want too. Dave, I'm with you. If there's a football or baseball game on and it's a big one, I'm like going back and forth from my computer, or I'll get my iPad and pull up DGPT and I'm watching both of them. I love to watch Frisbees I love to watch.
I watch everything. I watch all of it. And if I miss it, I go back and watch it all. Let me tell you a story about 2 weeks, I think, maybe in the very next week, because it was very fresh on my mind. I was Uber driving and I ended up at the LPGA tournament in the Woodlands. Okay. And just I'm going to just throw this at you, because I drove a guy that was head of marketing for the LPGA, and he asked me the question, did you know did you know about this tournament, first of all? And I said, no. And he said, did you know it was a major? And I said, no. Obviously, I didn't even know it was a tournament. It's not a major. And he goes, exactly. And I told him, I said, let me tell you a story. I said, I drove in and it seemed like maybe a high school event. It wasn't that, there weren't even any of those feather thing banners, it wasn't presented, And so I told him, I was like, you need to check out Pro Tour Disc Golf because Texas State's just happened here at Brock Park. And I said, it blew away what I saw from the LPGA. No knock on the LPGA because they're trying, but what's happening there is they don't have the heart, I guess, or the, they're just not putting it out there, presenting it like, so as maybe non-presentable as you may have thought it was spectacular compared to what I saw at the LPGA. And I got to tell the guy in person, cool. And he knew it. He knew it was a problem. That's why he asked me, he was putting the feelers out.
Gotcha.
Congrats on that. Again, I got to pat you on the back once again. And we're done schmoozing with you, man. We're gonna be harder on you next time. We're gonna find some flaws, some human flaws, you know.
Dude, come on. Let me say this, man. I love you guys, man.
Yeah. Thanks for
Chris,
coming on and spending so much time with us, man. I really appreciate it. And it really, there was a lot of cool stuff there that I'm going to have to go back and check out. I rarely watch, because I hate watching myself. I hate watching these things back because I'm like, oh, look at that stupid question, you know, or whatever. But you said some stuff that I'm
Cool.
I'm gonna go back and check it out and take notes. Chris, you got anything else?
No, I mean, I do, but like you said, there's so many avenues we could go on with Chris. It's just amazing the job that you've done, and the things that you've brought the disc golf community to Houston, Texas, and I love watching what you do, my friend, especially from afar. And I think that you know how I feel about you, regardless of what I do on this side of Houston. I think that you know how I feel and how we've always had a good relationship, and I appreciate that from you,
Cool.
sir.
Well, thanks, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
thanks.
Hey, and a shout out to all you Southsiders out there. Just know this, Mr. Squirrel, there's no division. We're all one, man. This is all one big community, and we love all you Southside guys. So anyway, keep up what you're doing. Thanks a lot for joining us, Griff.
Yeah.
Love you, man.
Love you guys. Appreciate it, man. See y'all
Have a great
soon.
night.
Good
Have a
night.
great night, Chris. We'll get in touch with you again for sure. I can't wait to have him on again, because big events are going to be in this area, and that's what we do. We shed light on those who need light shedded upon them the most, and that's what I love about what we do, Hemi. Because that's going to have a lot to do with what's going to be going on next week as well. You and I had a great opportunity, and I cannot wait to get this finally edited and put into the can so we can have this, because this is a treasure in our area that most people don't know. You want to fill them in just a little bit about this one?
Yeah, well, I pitched this to Chris a couple of weeks ago. We need to talk to Jim, because first of all, I love the fact that I can tell anybody who's new in disc golf. I run into somebody on the course and they go, where can I buy a disc? I'm like, go to Spring Valley Golf and Disc Golf and talk to Jim, because I know that Jim is going to tell them, first of all, what he told us. I'm not going to give away any of the cool stuff, but he's going to tell them what to throw for their skill level. And he's going to know what he's talking about. And then to add to that, he's this kind of quirky Reader's Digest writer, you know, Chris. I hope that comes across in the interview. I can't remember if you were on live, but that was a blast, and I love reading Jim's stuff. And hey, when you click on a Facebook post and it says see more, go see more, because with Jim's stuff, it's like a little piece of history, you know, and his comedy, and it, you know, he's just a rambling guy, but he does it in such an artful way. You know, he's one of my favorite disc golf analysts / writers. You know, he should be paid for that, you know, but he does it on his own time. And
he's a wonderful read. I love the way he articulates his thoughts, and especially when it comes to disc golf and other things as well. He's a plethora of information. He has definitely been through quite a few things in these last few years, and
yes,
he's a very special person.
And we didn't go into that because that's some tough waters to navigate. Amen. And but he did it so gracefully, man, and it just showed me what he's made of. You know, just like Griff going through his things and the things that he has to deal with, and just being Mr. Busy Guy all the time, and just completely putting himself out there to everything. You know, Jim does this kind of the same thing. You know, he stays busy. He agreed to meet with us, and when I messaged him after we left, I said, hey, did you remember to turn the ice machine back on? He's like, oh shit. And I don't know if he was just teasing with me, but he headed back up to go turn the ice machine back off. So that was to, you know, so we could hear the interview. But you know, he lives there, you know, basically, and he puts his heart and soul into disc golf, and he's really great for this community. A lot more so than he gets credit for.
And that's why I've always said the fellowship in disc golf is so important, because I think that whenever some of us go through our times and struggles, it's amazing how those friends that were around in this game help us out. They help us out in that fellowship. They help us out by being there, having a conversation just about how you're throwing, sometimes about the weather, sometimes it's about the team or whatever. But it just kind of takes you away from sometimes the things that are bothering you the most and get you a little centered and grounded. And that's what I love about this game. That's probably my favorite thing about disc golf, to be honest with you. And I'll say it 1,000 times. It's the fellowship.
Amen
But
to that.
I can't wait to have him on. We've got it in the can. And another guy that we finally have corralled, even though he's about this big, we finally got, he's so hard. He's like a little ferret getting in there. But we finally have Emerson. He's going to be coming on the show next week as well. And for those of y'all who live in a cave, yes, that's Emerson Keith. He just won one of the DGTP tournaments this year. Wasn't it the Portland one, I believe? Was it not, Hemi? Which one was it?
Put me on the spot.
I know. Anyway.
I watched it. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
just had a bad memory, but yeah, we watched it. I think it was.
Yes.
I think
You
it
don't want
was.
the snake. He had the snake as the trophy, but I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. I had an opportunity to get around in with him. He is quite entertaining, and I cannot wait to have him on to get the inside of what that pro tour is like. And maybe Dave, you can kind of say, hey, we need a little more of this, and see what his thoughts are as far as your vision as well, because he's one of the kids to be watching, especially from Team Lone Star Disc. But we look forward to it and having him on next week.
Yep.
Well, Dave, I don't know if you got anything else. I don't think you have anything else this time.
No, it was a blast, man. My new space. I moved upstairs, so I apologize about the guitars. I didn't have time to set anything up, but we'll have a little bit different ambience. But now, okay, we're gonna watch.
Oh, I didn't know that was already up. See, sometimes I think I've just got the thing just kind of like in a queue.
Yeah.
Realize that you know what I mean, because you've done this before. You've been on this side, so you know what it's like when you're trying to
Oh my God, yes.
queue all these things up and get all these pictures in the background. It's quite entertaining, as I like to say. But
well, thanks a lot for all your edits and your hard work and meeting me up there to talk to Jim and stuff like that. So yeah, appreciate
you make it easy. You give me the ideas. I love when people just go, hey, let's do this. And I go, okay, I can run with those things. When I'm just sitting here by myself, sometimes thinking about it, it becomes a lot more overwhelming, but you allow me to get focused on it. And I love that. That's the great teamwork that you and I have, for sure.
I appreciate you. All right.
You bet. What do we always say? Don't forget to go out and
Play disc golf.
and throw something in the air. And until then, folks, it's not the Fling Show until we see Mr. Mikey do. We'll see y'all next week. Y'all have a great weekend. Hey, look for some specials this week too. I might be putting out some more disc golf history as well. Y'all have a great night now.
Good night.
Peace.
Peace.